Hey everybody, it's Ben and I'm back once again with another video for you guys. Today I'll be reviewing Uncanny Avengers Volume 1, The Red Shadow. The series is written by Rick Remender, and on this first volume we have John Cassaday and Olivier Coipel on the artwork. John Cassaday does the artwork for issues 1 through 4 and Olivier Coipel does the artwork on issue 5. On the inking we have Mark Morales. On the colouring we have Laura Martin and Larry Molina. And as I said, this trade collects the first 5 issues of the series published by Marvel Comics as part of their Marvel Now initiative, and this is considered the flagship title of the Marvel Now initiative. So the premise of this story is it revolves around a team which is formed by Captain America of the Avengers Unity Squad, which is made up of both Avengers and X-Men. Now, in the aftermath of Avengers vs. X-Men, Cap realizes that he's never done much for the mutant cause and the Avengers in general. They've all sort of dealt with their own problems, but the team that we are initially introduced to, we have Captain America, Thor, Rogue, Scarlet Witch, and Havoc, and also Wolverine as well. So the story starts out, and we have Wolverine giving a eulogy at Charles Xavier's funeral, and the eulogy basically amounts to the fact that unfortunately Charles Xavier died unfortunately without seeing his dream ever come true, which his dream was a world in which both humans and mutants could peacefully coexist, and unfortunately Charles died without ever having seen that dream come to fruition. While this is going on, we have Havoc, or Alex Summers, visiting his brother Scott, or Cyclops, in prison, and their conversation basically amounts to the fact that Scott has forgotten everything that Charles Xavier ever told him, and basically for Scott, the ends justify the means, in that through wielding the power of the Phoenix, mutants are now being reborn, and Charles Xavier's death was just collateral damage in Scott's eyes. And at the same time, while this is going on, we have Havoc basically recruited into the Avengers by Captain America, and we then have Avalanche. Basically his mind has been surgically altered, as we saw at the start of this first issue, with somebody literally cutting his brain open and making adjustments, and he basically attacks the city of New York and basically incites panic among the citizens of New York. Rick Remender really plays up the antagonistic relationship between both Rogue and Scarlet Witch, or Wanda Maximoff, who many people know as the daughter of Magneto, over the events of House of M, where Wanda basically said no more mutants, and she basically wiped out 99% of the mutant population, and whereby at one point there were millions of mutants. At the time of House of M, during the aftermath, there were only 200 left after Wanda said no more mutants with her chaos magic. We also have the introduction of the main antagonist's henchmen, if you will, called the S-Men. Now, these henchmen slash villains slash antagonists, whatever you choose to call them, they're not really anything to write home about name-wise. They do put up some semblance of a threat when they're used in a later battle scene. And at the end of the first issue, we see that the Red Skull has dug up Charles Xavier from his grave and basically surgically removed his brain from his body, and he now decides that he wants to basically eradicate the mutant race. Now, there are some who would argue that the Red Skull has had a mutant agenda until pretty much never, but given that this guy is one of the embodiments of pure evil within the confines of the Marvel Universe, I can kind of go along with the fact that he wants to wipe out the mutant race, given that he's a former Nazi and a former right-hand man to Adolf Hitler. And we have Rogue basically captured along with Wanda, and we see that Skull is using Charles Xavier's powers of telepathy to basically influence Wanda's decisions. And once again, we have the antagonistic relationship between both her and Rogue coming to boiling point when the two physically come to blows, when Rogue borrows Wanda's chaos magic abilities, and upon which at the end they discover what Skull has done to Charles Xavier. And here we see a great shot of Skull using his abilities for the first time, as you can see there. Rick Remender does a fantastic job at writing a team book. For those of you who've read his run on Uncanny X-Force, you'll know that he can write the hell out of a team book and really makes all of the characters have their own distinct voices and personalities, and just really writes a team book fantastically well, and also has a fantastic voice for all of the characters on the Uncanny Avengers team, giving them their own unique voices and personalities. And he also has a great voice for the Red Skull, and really makes him a really truly great villain for the Uncanny Avengers to try to foil his unspeakable horrific plans. And here we see the Red Skull using again Charles Xavier's powers to basically try to incite a war between both humans and mutants. And what follows is very it's very it's very intense what happens, because you see the citizens of New York basically turning on each other left, right and center, and basically killing indiscriminately and thinking that they're wiping out the evil mutants, if you will. And at the same time, while this is going on, you have some really great character moments from each of the Avengers. You have Thor basically blasting the Red Skull with a bolt of lightning, and making a really cool, grandiose entrance at the same time. You have Wolverine basically slicing off the Red Skull's right hand when he finds out what he has done to Chuck, as you can see there. And at the same time, you have Thor falling under the influence of the Red Skull and his propaganda figurehead, Honest John. So you have a fight scene between Havoc, Wanda and Thor, which unfortunately they are forced to turn on their ally, as he is currently being corrupted by the Red Skull, the Red Skull's uses of his telepathic abilities, as you can see there and there. There's also a really great scene between Wanda and Thor, where she realizes that she can't physically take him out in a one-on-one battle. The only way she can take him out temporarily is to remove him from the playing field. So there's a great scene where she taps into all of the untapped energy that she's kept harvested over the years, and it really shows you just how powerful and how much of a badass Wanda can actually be, even when she's taking out one of my favourite Marvel characters, obviously being Thor, the God of Thunder. So there's a really great scene where you see that Wanda is clearly not somebody you want to mess with in a hurry. At the same time, you have a really great exchange between Steve and Alex, where he says to Cap, you know, if you want to take control of this team from me at any time, just let me know and I'll step aside gladly. But Steve says to him, you know, you've got what it takes. The Avengers Unity Squad is in fine hands under your leadership. And at the same time, you have Thor handing a newspaper to Logan and saying that you didn't fail him, and even though Charles is gone, his dream does live on. And you see the caption from the newspaper where you see the shot of the Uncanny Avengers, where it says Charles Xavier is gone, but his dream does indeed live on, which I thought was a really great show of of camaraderie between Logan and Thor, and at the same time, like I said, Thor telling Logan that while Charles is indeed gone, his dream does live on. Issue 5 deals with some more members being recruited to the Uncanny Avengers, namely Sunfire, Wonder Man and Wasp, as you can see from the cover to issue 5. Now, there are continuations of 2 plot points from Rick Remender's Uncanny X-Force series, specifically at the end of the Dark Angel Saga storyline in volumes 3 and 4, and in the latter half of the final arc of the Uncanny X-Force series under Rick Remender's writing helm, with Logan and his son Daken, or Daken, however you choose to pronounce it. Now, I'm not going to spoil what happened in either of those runs, or those stories I should say, but if you haven't read Rick Remender's Uncanny X-Force series, I can see how some readers would be frustrated and confused from maybe not having read that run and not understanding the significance that is placed on the Apocalypse twins, and also the fallout and the aftermath of the storyline with Wolverine and his son Daken. But we know that that Kang is involved with the Apocalypse twins, and he's going to use them, to his own ends. We also get a really cool X-Men Days of Future Past tease in the first 5 issues, and as I said, the team is unveiled to the press, with Havoc giving his introductory speech. Unfortunately, the Grim Reaper, or Eric, shows up, and unfortunately for Simon, this is a person that he has very deep and very personal ties to, given that it's his brother. And there's a great action scene that unfolds with the Grim Reaper disrupting the unveiling of the Avengers Unity Squad, or the Uncanny Avengers. And how this ends, I'm not going to spoil, but I'm definitely interested in seeing where the series goes. The writing and the storytelling in this by Rick Remender is absolutely fantastic, and as I said from his run on Uncanny X-Force, he writes the hell out of a team book, in my opinion. He gives the characters their own unique voices and personalities. There's a great bit of action, there's drama, there's the usage of a really great Marvel Universe villain, obviously the Red Skull, who he has a great voice for. The artwork by John Cassaday isn't the best that I've seen from him. Case in point, his run with Joss Whedon on Astonishing X-Men. But his artwork is still good. The colouring done by Laura Martin and Larry Molina is really, really good, along with the inking of Mark Morales. The artwork by Olivier Coipel is really good, who I really like from his run with J. Michael Straczynski on Thor, also with Brian Michael Bendis on House of M and Siege. So I'm really, really interested to see where this story goes. If I had to give this first volume of Uncanny Avengers a rating, I give it a 4.5 out of 5. I really, really enjoyed it, and I highly recommend it. And that about concludes this review video, guys. Thank you everybody for watching. Hope you all enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Didn't like it, thumbs it down. But as I always say for thumbs down the video, please feel free to tell me why in the comments below, or send me a private message. If this is your first time here, please feel free to subscribe. And until next time, this is Scanvid896 signing off. And as always, remember, keep reading those comics, and I will see you guys next time. Take care, guys.